It's not exactly strange that most of us look like mobile players when we try out a game for the first time. This is especially true if you don't usually play games of that exact type or genre. Fortnite is no exception to that. I wasn't that hot in my first game of Fortnite either. Just kidding, this is me winning my first ever game by sitting in a bush. Alright, maybe not my most proud moment. But yes, I've played shooter games before, but those are usually first-person shooters, and Fortnite is much different, not only because it's a battle royale game, and I don't usually play battle royale games, but because its building features are completely new and makes it unlike any other shooter that I've played before. So in today's video, I want to talk about some secrets or tips that I really wish that I would have known when I first started playing Fortnite. If you're a very experienced player, you're probably already good enough to know these 5 secrets and tricks, but for the ones that are just trying to get into Fortnite or want to get better in Battle Royale, this video is for you. So grab some popcorn and relax as I school you with these awesome secrets so that you're ready the moment you jump off that blue school bus. Not to be confused with the magic school bus. Number 5, moving and jumping around while mining. I've said this a million times, but building is so freaking important in Fortnite. Imagine playing a game where you either just don't build at all, or if you do build with very scarce resources. Well, you want to imagine a game where you'll last long in if you're trying to imagine that, because I can almost guarantee you that you won't get anywhere near the top 10 without building. Maybe if you're a pro, you can pull it off, but even then, not being able to create cover or use stairs for mobility is a huge disadvantage. Because of this, it's important to gather resources whenever you get the chance. Now, that doesn't mean you should spend the entire game getting 999 of each material. You'd have a better chance of winning not building over spending the entire game chopping down trees and destroying cars and bricks. But what this does mean is that you should have a good amount of materials so that if you encounter someone, you can build cover, or if it's close combat, be able to counter their aggressive plays and get on the offensive or defensive. Have at least 150 of each material, or at the very least, have at least 200 wood. Now, a really good tip to speed up the resource gathering would be mining for materials while jumping. What I mean by that is think about when you're running towards someplace. If you see a tree or a rock, if you wanted to mine it, your character would slow down for you to grab as many of wood or brick as you want. So in order to speed that up, you want to not actually stop by every tree or rock you come across, and instead jump when you see them and mine them in that jump, and just keep on moving around the tree, maybe circle around it, but just keep your movement going. Don't do the back and forth, left and right mining, because chances are you may actually walk into the sniper shot if you do this. If your body is showing any kind of pattern or rhythm of moving back and forth to the same exact spots, chances are the enemy is going to be able to predict your movements. So you want to be completely unpredictable and just go all the way around that object entirely while you're mining, or you want to jump while doing it. It's super important to move in Fortnite as much as possible so you don't get caught lacking and die. I've had so many times where I stop for literally just 1 second to do something and I get sniped in that instant. This is a very small tip that can be very useful in the long run. Also, I know it's extremely obvious, but hit the targets while you're mining. For the longest time, I did not know that hitting the targets while you're mining actually sped up mining. I actually have a friend of mine who's borderline pro player, and I actually showed him this, and he was freaking out about it. I don't understand why, but move around a lot while you're mining and make sure to hit those targets. Number 4, building while falling. One thing that I absolutely hate is losing any amount of health possible because of a dumb fall. I hate this because I always love to see 100 health and 100 shield no matter what. I do not like seeing those 3 digits fall down to 2 even if it's a 99, especially since bandages won't help out and I'd be forced to use a med kit or slurp juice, etc. to get back up to 100. But I'm not that dumb, so I won't actually waste a med kit or potion just to recover 1 point of health. I'm just mentioning this to emphasize just how annoying it is when you take a fall. Now, that happens so much when I'm trying to slide down mountains because I may accidentally move a little to the wrong direction and not actually slide the whole time down. Sometimes this will take out like a max of 10 HP, but then other times, if it's a big drop, it will take out half of my health bar. Now, in order to minimize this, you should start building platforms under you. If you've never tried it, you can actually build them right under you as you're dropping down a mountain and make multiple stops down with a platform, which will almost guarantee that you don't lose any health when sliding down a mountainside. When you think about building, you're usually thinking about building a fort or building stairs to get up somewhere, but you can also use your building materials for a temporary cushion. The same goes for if you're just trying to drop down. If you're in a fort that's very high up and you suspect that someone could be shooting you down, same thing. build while falling, and you won't take any falling damage. Unless, of course, you hit one of those weird bounces where you take falling damage even though you landed on a platform that's within a reasonable amount of height, and you know what happens after that. Number 3, slurp juices, impulse grenades, and rockets, more specifically guided rockets, can save you in the storm, and walking into the storm below 30 HP can actually be advantageous if you're not playing solo. Out of all the potions and other health items, I think slurp juices are probably the least popular. I mean, they take so long for you to actually get the benefits you're supposed to, which is why people don't really want to use them. I mean, who wants to wait for their health to fill up when they could be out there fighting more players and winning the game? Unless you're a slow player, you'd find that appealing. However, despite this, slurp juices can be very useful in more ways than just giving you 25 extra armor. And one thing it can be very useful for is for players that tend to stay too close to the storm. The reason for that is because if you see yourself staying in the storm to fight players and gather loot, you can drink a slurp juice right before diving in or while in the storm and almost be immune to the storm's effects. Well, temporarily, of course, because slurps don't last forever, unfortunately, but when it comes to other health items like bandages or medkits, you can put them on, but they won't do much unless your health is already low. So it can immediately bring it up, whereas with a slurp juice, it doesn't give you its effect immediately and does it over a period of time. So if you had 99 HP and used it while in the storm, you could be taking 20 points of damage that the slurp counters. So if you make it out of the storm in time before you take any more damage, you can stay around that 99 range afterwards. But if you have 90 health and use a med kit in the storm, you'll have your health go up to 100, but then you'll start losing a lot of that until you're finally out of the storm. While slurps aren't that useful in too many situations for you to actually stack a few in your inventory, they may be something worth considering a spot for if you like playing risky and in the storm. Now, as for impulse grenades can be used to get yourself out of the storm by simply throwing them at the ground, but you can also throw them behind your friends that may not have made it out of a tough storm, and this will actually knock them out if they're right near the edge. Additionally, even if a player is downed, using a guided missile, you can pick that downed player up with a guided missile and you can carry them out of the storm. The probability of you finding Launchpad has been increased by 25% as of the latest update. So there are now many ways to make it out of the storm. Number 2, going to the same house as someone else is a bad idea, but if you don't have a choice, then go to the bottom of that house. Now, this one is probably a no-brainer for experienced players, and not so much of a secret as it is a tip, but all of us have done this so much before we actually got the hang of Fortnite, so it's worth a spot on this list. What I'm talking about is diving down to the same roof that someone else is also targeting. Now, sometimes this is due to poor judgment, and other times it's out of desperation or because you landed too late. But if another building isn't too close, but whatever the case may be, it's too risky. Dropping down to the same building either means A, you'll try to axe each other to death, and so basically wasting a game because either you'll die or you will lose enough health to where even if you kill the opposing player, you just die off just one shot to your body afterwards if someone spots you, or B, both of you will try to find a gun first, and whoever gets one first will probably eliminate the other immediately, or even if both of you get a gun, you'll get into a situation where you're so close to each other that you'll both end up really hurt. So even if you win the gunfight, you'll probably die really quickly if someone spots you afterwards. So diving down too close to an enemy player will guarantee you getting either critically wounded or dead. So just don't do it. Whoever gets the gun or a shotgun first will most likely win that fight. But if you get in one of those situations where a bunch of people are unexpectedly landing at the location you're going to, well, in that case, what you want to do is try to land at the bottom of the house. Actually, if you're going residential, I would land at the bottom of the houses every single time. The reason for that is that most people will go for the roof chest. So if you can go to the bottom floor, you'll touch ground first, and you'll most likely get more of the weapons and be able to loot not only downstairs, but upstairs before they can even break through the roof and loot the chest. More importantly, you can't get a shotgun out of a chest. Number 1, don't go to the direct middle of the circle and build a fort. When I first started playing, I thought that it was probably the smartest idea to start in the middle of the circle where I wouldn't have to move that much, use strong materials like brick or metal, and literally just sit in that fort. Not only is this extremely dangerous because you're likely to get pinched on all angles, but sitting in a fort for too long in general puts you in danger of being targeted by snipers, especially if your fort's length is only 1. If this is the case, then clearly there's only one place in your fort where your head can pop up, and that's within the area of that 1 block space. Because of this, in a lot of ways, it's actually more safe to stay on the move and continue to rotate around the zone than it is to sit in a fort. Now, of course, a lot of times you're going to be forced to put up a fort and stay there, but as soon as you finish the battle that you're currently in, you want to try to get on the move as quickly as possible so that you don't get pinched. That's why the victor of most epic building battles are usually the cleanup crew. Moving around and learning how to build cover when necessary is a lot more effective than just building a fort and waiting around. The last remaining players will most likely have RPGs, they'll most likely destroy your fort, and then you'll have to move anyway. So don't get pinched, don't sit in a fort, stay on the move. And if you need any help with building, I do have a building guide on my channel, so make sure to check that out. So those were 5 secrets that I really wish I knew when I first started playing Fortnite Battle Royale. Let me know what you guys thought, and if you have any more secrets or tips you wish you could have given your past self before you started playing Fortnite. I'm sure there are a million more and better things I could have definitely told myself when I first got into Battle Royale, but that's about it for my commentary. Feel free to drop your thoughts and advice for newer Fortnite players down in the comment section below.